First and foremost, you need to be familiar with the different laws of exponent before you continue on. So please pause this video if you are not familiar. Okay, so the main thing is for exponential function, please take note that is y equals to b to the power of x, where b is the base and x is the exponent. So now we'll move on to solving exponential equations. The first level of difficulty that you'll encounter is this first equation here. So main thing is because the base is the same, so you can just simply equate the two power exponents together. So in other words, it will just be x equals to 2x minus 3. So hence x is equals to 3. Okay, whereas for the second questions here, they realize that the base are actually different. So in order to make sure that they have the same base, you realize that 4 is equals to 2 to the power of 2. So I just have to rewrite this in terms of 2 to the power of 2 times 2x plus 5. Whereas the left hand side remains the same. So since now the base is the same, I can just equate the exponent power to be equals to each other. So in other words, it's just equals to 2 bracket 2x plus 5. You can now distribute the right hand side, so you get 4x plus 10. So hence x is just simply equals 3x is just equals to negative 14. So x is equals to negative 14 over 3. So that's how you can do for first level of difficulty, is to just all make into the same base. Whereas for the second level of difficulty, it's just more complicated. So you realize that 9 and 27 cannot be made into the same base. So you just find something common, the lowest possible base that you can consider. So you realize that 9 is actually made up of 3 to the power of 2, and 27 is actually 3 to the power of 3. So I just rewrite them in terms of the same as what we did earlier. Base is the same, so hence I can just simply 2 to the power of 5x, x plus 5 equals to 3 to the power 3 times x minus 7. And then you just solve accordingly. Second case, it'll just look very complicated. So you can first rewrite the right hand side. If you recall the property, x to the power negative n is actually equals to 1 over x to the power n. So this I can just rewrite as 25 to the power of x minus bracket x plus 4 bracket. Then from here, 25 is actually just 5 squared. So hence it's just 5 to the power of negative 2x plus 4. And hence again, you can just equate the two powers exponent and then you just solve accordingly. So this is how a level 2 difficulty will look. In case of level 3, again is just more and more complicated, but it's the same technique, so just always change to the same base. You realize it's a multiply sign here, which in other words you can just add the powers up. So again, you realize these two is the same base, so hence you can just equate the two power together. Similarly for this, just change to the same power first. So since this is a division sign here, you can just minus the power. So it will be in this format, minus x minus 3. Take note is minus the whole thing, so it's minus the bracket of x minus 3 equals to 2 to the power of 3 bracket 2x minus 8. So again, same thing, you can, since they have the same base, you can just equal them together and that will be your final answer. Now we will proceed on to level 4 difficulty, which is the most difficult. Okay, so for this case, because of the addition sign, you cannot just simply combine them together. So what happens is, the easiest way is to break them up. How do we break them up is, you can take note of this important fact. 3 to the power of x plus 1 is actually 3 to the power of x times 3 to the power of 1. Similarly, 3 to the power of x plus 2 is actually 3 to the power of x times 3 to the power of 2. So I just rewrite all this in the same form. So what happens is, because it's very complicated with so many 3 to the power of x, you do something called substitution, where you let y equals to 3 to the power of x. So you realize is all this is just in terms of y, so you can just add all of them up. So y is equals to 3. And we're not done here because we still need to find x. So since you know y is equals to 3 to the power of x, so hence 3 to the power of x is equals to 3. Again, because they have the same base, so you can just equal the power together. So 3 is just 3 to the power of 1, so hence x is equals to 1. So this substitution method is the most important technique and is the most useful technique that you can use for a level 4 difficulty question. I have another example which is using the same technique. First, you just break them up first. You don't like 2 to the power of x, so you just let y equals to 2 to the power of x. But this thing here, take note, because this is 2 to the power of 2x, so actually y squared is actually equals to 2 to the power of 2x. So hence it's y squared times 2 equals to 3y plus 2. So what you realize here is actually a quadratic formula. So hence from here you can actually solve using factorization method or whatever method, and hence find y. Finally, 2 more examples that we can go through for level 4 difficulty. Okay, so this one looks a bit different where you cannot really use substitution since there is 2 different numbers, 2 to the power of x and 3 to the power of x. So what happens here is this important property, a to the power of n times b to the power of n is actually equals to ab whole thing to the power of n. So what happens here is to the power of, first you just break them up like what we did earlier, and you realize that these 2 here, you can combine them to be 2 times 3 whole thing to the power of x, which you realize is just 6 to the power of x times 3 equals to 108. And here 6 to the power of x is actually equals to 36, and you know 36 is 6 squared, so hence x is equals to 2. And when we do the same thing for question 4, you realize in this case I should divide 10 to the power of x on both sides, so that I'll get something like this, which you realize 50 to the power of x over 10 to the power of x, you can actually just simply 50 over 10 whole thing to the power of x, which will give you 5 to the power of x. And this one will actually reduce to 25. So hence, what do you realize is x again is just equals to 2. So after going through all this, so these are the various different types of exponential equations that you will encounter, ranging from level 1 to level 4. So the most important thing is make sure you remember all the laws of exponent, and most importantly is actually the first and the second property and the 8 and the 9 property, as they are more catered for level 4s. And of course, most importantly, please remember the most important technique, which is the substitution method, where if you let y equals to 3 to the power of x, y squared is equals to 3 to the power of 2x. And that's all for my video. Hope you understand everything.